Welcome to the Mustard Seed Media Video Podcast. My name is Bob, and this is the podcast for Drupal web designers. And on today's podcast, we're going to talk about the Drupal Commerce module, which is the Drupal 7 payment and e-commerce solution. And we're going to talk about creating event registrations with that module. Now, the whole point of this podcast isn't necessarily to learn how to create or use this event registration system. The whole point is really to see how flexible commerce is by using rules module. And I'm going to show you how I was able to easily build a feature that does event registration just because commerce uses rules. So you'll learn a bunch of other stuff. I'll show you how to use that feature in addition to showing you how to use this event registration module. So let's dive right in and look at what we're talking about. Commerce event registration. Notice this is hosted on GitHub. I may or may not put this on Drupal.org because I'm not sure that I want to support it because it solves one particular problem. That problem was originally solved in Drupal 6 by my UberCart event registration module. And this took UberCart and paired it with WebForm module to give us really flexible event registrations. So why are we doing this? Why pair a payment solution with WebForm module? Commerce event registration, by the way, does the exact same thing. It takes this concept from UC event registration and moves it from UberCart to commerce in Drupal 7, all with a very simple feature. So why pair WebForm with a payment solution? The idea is you can go back and watch the UC event registration video that we did on Mustard Seed and see a little bit more about this. The idea is we want really flexible registrations. Let's say we have 50 events a year, and each event wants to collect different information from people. One event wants to collect t-shirt size, while another one collects what dish you're going to bring to pass, or something like that. All the existing event registration solutions basically limit you to a single set of fields. And they're good for conferences or things like that, but they're not flexible enough. So what we want to do is be able to pair these two things together, WebForm and a payment solution, and be able to set all that up. And that's what I'm doing here with Commerce Event Registration. Now, I may not host on Drupal.org simply because it solves one particular problem. And with UC Event Registration, people wanted to solve a lot of different problems trying to use that module. Not sure I want to support that. We'll see. It may end up over there eventually. Another thing to know is that the core of what you're going to see here that makes this happen is based on a blog post by Ryan, who created Commerce, and he said, hey, go look over at this blog post. It does exactly what you want to do. And so this blog post I'll link to from mustardseedmedia.com/podcast/episode 51, and you can go over there and check this out. I'll also link to GitHub. So you're going to want to go to downloads, or you can check this out using Git if you know how to do that, and download as a zip. Make sure when you download this, you rename the resulting folder commerce_event_registration, and then drop it in your modules directory. We're going to get all this up and running using Commerce Kickstart, which is a commerce distribution. And this is like right out of the box. I just installed Kickstart, nothing set up at all yet. Let's look at the modules we're going to use. So the first thing you're going to notice is we have obviously Commerce and Commerce Event Registration. This is the feature that we just dropped in. And so you're going to need Feature module as well. You're also going to need Commerce Features, which exposes some commerce stuff to Features module. You're going to need StrongArm. You're going to need WebForm. This is the core of what we're doing. You're going to need WebForm rules because the whole point of this video isn't necessarily to show, an event registration system. It's to show how easy it is to create whatever you want by pairing commerce with rules. And then you're going to want WebForm validation. I'll show you this in a minute. You don't need demo or develop if you don't want to. So we've got this all set up. The first thing I'm going to do is just enable Features module. I'm going to do that using Drush. And if you go back to the README for Commerce Event Registration, you're going to see what this is going to do. This is going to do a few things. When I enable this feature in a minute, it's going to create a product type called Paid Event in Commerce. It's going to create a product display type called Paid Event. You'll have to read a little bit about this. This display type is a node. This is a product, and they work together to display your products. There's lots of information about this, especially Ryan's talk at DrupalCon Chicago. Go watch that. Then we're going to designate paid events as a node. As a web form type, so we can put web forms on our paid events. Then something else that you're going to notice, I'll show you in a second. So we're going to go to Structure, Features, and we're going to enable this feature. And something this is also going to do, Commerce has something called line items, and we're going to add a field our feature will add a field to these line items as soon as it enables. And we're going to go look at that. And what this field does is it basically stores some information about the web form that's submitted in order to save that information and use it later. Note this right here. This is why this approach that I'm about to show you is evil, in my opinion. It should be done much better, and I'll show you that in a minute. But you sort of want to avoid doing stuff in PHP input formats if possible. So first, let's go configure the store and see what this did. We have line item types, and we have a product line item. And if we look at that, we're going to notice that our feature added a field to this called web form SID. And this is collected during checkout, and it's the submission ID, the SID, for the web form that was filled out. I'll show you that in a minute. And you'll notice that if we manage display here, it's just hidden. We don't want to see it. We're just using it to store some data. So let's also go look, and if we go to add a product, you'll see that we've added a new product type called create paid event, called a paid event, and that's our own product type. And then we also, if we go to create a piece of content, we're going to see that we've created a new content type called paid event as well, and this is our display. Something to note with this content type, you can add anything else you want to this content type. So if we go to structure, content types, and we edit our paid event, and we look at the fields, I didn't even add a date field to this. Yes, it's called paid event, but it doesn't even have a date. You can add whatever fields you want to this. That's the idea of the flexibility that we're showing here. So let's see a little bit about what happens. The process is that you're going to add a product. So I'm going to create paid event. I'm going to add a SKU and a price. Now, when I hit save product, this is going to fire off a rule, and it's going to do a bunch of things. The first thing it's going to do is obviously it's going to save this product. It's going to create a paid event display node automatically that associates these two together, and then it's going to direct us to that display node so we can edit it. So the idea here is that it's creating all that stuff. Oh, it didn't actually redirect us. I'll have to look at why that didn't in a minute. But it should redirect you actually to the display node. You can see the node here. And if we edit that node, this is where you should have ended up. You can go ahead and then just edit this, and you'll notice the product has already been put in here. So you're good to go. You'll also know that this is a web form content type, but it also automatically added a couple of web form fields, payment status and quantity. Now, payment status is a private field that only administrators can see. Quantity is a simple text field that is going to take the quantity in. Here's one of the things you currently manually have to do. I'd like to add this in so it does it automatically, if I can figure out how. Form validation, this is done by web form validation module. This is just a text field. There are no integer fields in web form by default. So we're going to take this text field and we're going to add on validation for numeric values. This just basically makes sure that they enter in a number, not just some text, because we need a valid number for this to work. So we're going to validate the quantity field. So now if we go back and view this, you'll see that when any paid event node is created automatically through creating a product, it adds the fields. Now do not delete these fields. We need these for it to work. So let's look at how this is going to work then. Our rules fire throughout this process to do different things. Let's say we wanted to register 2 people. Again, this is the flexibility of this. We could go in and we could add other web form fields. First name, last name, what are you bringing, t-shirt size, any of this stuff to this web form now. Absolutely anything on a per event basis. I'm not going to add any of that stuff, but you can see the flexibility. So I'm going to say buy 2 of these, and I'm going to go ahead and submit this. Notice that this is the submit button for the web form, not an add to cart button for commerce, even though this is a product. Behind the scenes, this is a product. There's a product associated with it. So I'm going to submit, and when I submit, what it's going to do, it's going to skip over whatever's in my shopping cart. It's going to give me a message saying, please check out before adding other items to the cart. Event registrations are checked out individually. This is one of the limitations currently where we just want to check out whatever people just registered for. We don't want to put it in a cart and take them through that process and everything. Oops. I'm going to just go ahead and check out here. So one of the things you'll notice, the quantity field, which was actually a web form quantity field, actually translated into the quantity in this order, and it put it in the cart, put the product in the cart. And so I'm going to go ahead and check out. And I just have a test checkout payment system here, so I just have to put anything in this field. And when I check out and I finish, you're going to notice, yes, it added my order, I paid for it, all that kind of stuff. But the important part is that it went back to the web form. And if we look at the results, here's the web form submission that happened. And if I view this, you'll notice that it was marked paid automatically. If someone goes through this process to purchase this and does not finish checkout, this will remain unpaid. So you can create views or do whatever you want, sorting items paid versus unpaid, any of that kind of stuff. It automatically marks that paid. So now let's look at how all of this works. In the feature, there are 3 rules, and this is really the part that I wanted to show you how flexible all of this was. It's basically just a bunch of rules. That's all that's doing this. So we have 3 rules. Add web form event registration to cart, auto create product display node, mark web form event registration paid. So the first thing that I want to do is look at this auto create product display node rule. And it's got a whole bunch of steps in it. Now, the thing that I said about the PHP input format before, you're going to see here. This isn't the best way to do this. I should actually be creating, all I'm doing is creating actions, by the way, some custom actions. And I should be creating real rules actions in the back end. I'm not. I'm doing it in a PHP input format for the sake of saving some time and some effort, but I should do that eventually. So what is my action doing? After creating, saving a new commerce product, I'm making sure that that product type is a paid event. You can see I did a data comparison to make sure it's a paid event. And then when that happens, I'm going to create a new entity. This is creating a node of the type paid event, and I'm filling in some information about it. I'm making the title the same as the product. I'm filling in the author the same as whoever created the product. That's it. So basically, I'm creating a new thing. And then I'm going to set some data in that product, and we're going to look at this. And the data that I'm going to set is that I'm going to set the product, the field product 0, which is the first product on that display node. I'm going to set it to my commerce product that I just created. So I'm assigning that product to the display to make sure that it's in there. And then I'm going to save that entity. The reason I'm saving that right here is I need to get the node ID. That has to be saved, which is why I'm force saving immediately. So I'm going to save that node before I do anything else. And then I'm going to execute some custom PHP code. This is where it's bad. This should be done in a rules action. And what you're going to see here is I have the registration display node. That's my node. I'm going to set that as my node variable. And then I'm just going to go in and I'm going to create my 2 web form components. Very simple. I'm going to create it, and I'm relying on some of this data to be exactly this. So if you create your own fields, they probably won't work. You have to rely on this to create your fields for the whole process to work. So then I've done that, and I'm going to save that entity again, and then I'm going to redirect the user. Let's try force redirect. I'm going to redirect the user to the editing URL. So let's see that process that I just did all in action again. I'm going to create another paid event, product. Now, when I do this, hopefully it will redirect me this time, since I forced it, to the editing screen. So I'm going to save this product. It's going to do all of that stuff we just saw, and there we go. It forces me, or it sends me to the editing the node, and you'll see that it put the product in and did all that stuff, and then I can save this, and you'll see that it also added those web form fields as it should. So that's the first rule. Now let's look back at some of my other rules. Now what happens when I add something to the cart? We're saying after a web form has been submitted, this is web form rules module, and the content type that we're submitting is a paid event. Then first I'm going to show a message on the site. This is simply that please check out before adding other items. And then I'm going to, again, execute custom PHP code. And this is that blog post from Ryan. And you can go through and you can look to see all this, what this stuff is doing. It's basically the process for manually creating an order, for programmatically creating a commerce order. The one thing custom that I'm doing here, the only thing custom that I'm doing in here, is this right here. I'm adding the web form SID. Every web form submission has a unique SID. I need this SID at the end of the checkout process to go back and mark that submitted web form as paid. So what I'm doing here is I'm going in and I'm adding that SID to that line item field that we created. and then I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go through the rest of the process to create an order. That's all done right here. Again, look at this. This is the only thing custom and different than this blog post from Ryan. So what this does is when you submit a web form, it adds it to the cart, populates that SID field, and sends you to checkout. It's great. Then after checkout, what we're doing, we're going to go back after checkout and mark that, that web form as paid. We're doing again in the evil PHP format. And there isn't, at least that I could find, there isn't a web form hook that allows us to just load a web form submission by SID, mark it paid, and then resave it. So we're having to do it manually. And all of this stuff is done. I don't really understand this. I want to look into this more. Entity metadata wrapper is crucial here because that's how we're loading entities and changing them and then resaving them. And so all we're doing is going through the line item and we're finding that SID field that we saved, and then we're just doing a DB query to update that information in the database, that submission, to mark it as paid. So that's really all of this is that this is doing. You can see the process, you can see that it works really nicely, and you can see that 100% of it is done with features, just setting up the content types that I want, and then all done through rules to use web form to collect our data. Not only collect our data, but to set up the web form, then collect the data in the web form, set up the order, send them through checkout, and then go back and mark that web form as paid at the end. It's a very simple event registration system, and its main goal is to give you flexibility on that web form so you can collect whatever data you want. And hopefully this shows you the power of the fact that commerce and rules are playing together very nicely. You can come up with any other kind of system you want to build that is similar to this and probably do a lot of it in rules. So hopefully this is helpful. Go check out all the links and all that kind of stuff. mustardseedmedia.com/podcast/episode 51 if you're not already there. And you can see all this. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. If you appreciate the podcast, go ahead and chip in. That keeps us going. I'm going to do a lot more of these videos in 2012, hopefully. That's my goal. And put out some more paid videos like our paid how to create Facebook in Drupal, which you'll see a banner for there as well. That's it for this week. Hopefully we'll see you soon. Go play with this and tell me what you think. Tell me what works and what doesn't work. And tell me what you've built using rules and commerce module. That's it. We'll see you next time on the Mustard Seed Media video podcast.